This video is presented by mybookie.ag. What's up guys, here are my predictions for UFC Vegas 10. I guess that's the name that they're calling it. Michelle Waterson versus Angela Hill. In terms of quality, the card looks very similar to the previous couple cards. But after this one is when we really start to amp up on the super exciting fights. But there are a few fights on this card that do catch my eye for sure. Brian Barberena versus Anthony Ivy is a very interesting fight. Matt Frevola versus Roosevelt Roberts is a really good fight between two young prospects. But we are going to start with the co-main event, and in my opinion, the most exciting fight on this card by far. Azaitar versus Kamaworthy, the Bulldozer versus the Death Star. He should probably change his name to the Underdog. I mean, because whenever he's the underdog, he just finishes the opponent in the exact way that people think he was going to be finished. Two guys with nuclear bombs in their hands, known for their knockout ability. Every punch they throw is to earn themselves that bonus, man. Both these guys have very powerful, long-range overhand rights, as well as well-timed left hooks. But Worthy brings a lot more variety to the game. He throws more kicks, a lot more jabs, he'll throw right straights and stuff like that, while Azaitar, he's really only throwing the overhand right and the left hook. He doesn't really set things up that well. And Worthy's gonna have a major speed advantage, as well as the reach advantage and the counter punching advantage coming into this fight. When Worthy's countering abilities combines with Azaitar's overhand right without a setup tendencies, it will lead a lot of people to believe that Kamaworthy should be able to defeat Azaitar. Because man, when you're throwing these power punches all the time, when you keep throwing overhand rights and big left hooks, your retraction timing is greatly lengthened. And because you're not retracting your punches in time, you're leaving yourself open to get countered. And Azaitar's debut opponent, Teemu Packlund, is not that much of a striker to be able to do that. He's going from fighting a grappler to fighting a dangerous striker, very dangerous counterpuncher specifically, that should be able to counter a lot of the things he does. Worthy always has his hands up high, defensively aware at all angles, and has a extremely quick in the pocket pull counter that he was able to catch Luis Pena and Devontae Smith, who both be much faster than Azaitar. Devontae Smith rivals Azaitar's power as well, and Worthy was able to handle that very well with the first round knockout, able to pull counter with the left hook, went for a right uppercut which seemed to have missed slightly, but the fact that he was able to chain up those combinations so quickly on a guy like Smith is very impressive. Azaitar being that much slower and not setting up any of his strikes that well, I believe is going to give Kamaworthy a major advantage in this fight. So I'm going to go with Kamaworthy on this one, and I'm going to go by a second round TKO. On paper, it might seem more one-sided than it actually will be, because if you go back and look at Kamaworthy's career, he's gotten caught by that overhand right a few times and got knocked out cold by it. Before, he would try to pull counter it, but he wouldn't pull on time, or he'll pull too close to where he couldn't get away from the overhand right and it would clip him at the end of it. But this is like 3 and more years ago that this used to happen to him. Now it seems like he's gotten that part of his game down a lot more precisely. It's a shame he's not the underdog, because if he was, this would be a given that he wins. And then we go to the main event. Michelle Waterson versus Angela Hill. Two veterans of the strawweight division, has fought the who's who consistently throughout their careers, and they're trying to get on that track to get to that title shot. As it seems the top of the division is starting to clear out a bit for some of these contenders to rise up quickly. I think this fight's gonna be very competitive. Angela Hill has more variety in her strikes, has better boxing skills, she's a little bit longer, the speed is gonna be relative, and Hill might have a little bit more knockout power, but Michelle Waterson's kicks are the most powerful thing in this fight. Right, her front kicks are very dynamic. She's really getting better with her boxing skills and really getting better with moving around the cage, because she used to be extremely plodding, and that would have gave Angela Hill a huge advantage in this fight. But the fact she's moving around a lot more, it's really going to help her in this one to play into Angela Hill's game, as well as mix it up with her kicks and mix up with takedowns, and that's a huge thing coming to this fight. Waterson's a much better grappler. Her methods of taking to the ground can be very risky with the head and arm throw, the way she goes by that, but I don't think Angela Hill is going to be able to counter it like Rose Namajunas did. As soon as it gets to the ground, Waterson's going to be in her world and start to dominate the fight. But in the striking range, I do think it's going to be very competitive, where Hill is of course going to make it very hard for Waterson to shoot on her at any given time or clinch up with her at any given time due to her footwork ability and the volume of her long range punches keeping Waterson at bay. But there is a huge problem with Angela Hill coming into this one, and that is the fact that she resets a lot. Even if she has the advantageous position in the cage, if she's starting to control the cage and push Waterson Waterson back, she tends to just reset the action and allow the fighter to get back into the center and make it a neutral ground again. And that is something that's always going to make Waterson come back in the fight. Whenever Waterson's going to be any kind of danger, Hill is going to allow her to come back. And that goes right into my prediction for this fight. Again, I think it's going to be extremely competitive. I think it will be back and forth. I think Hill will get the advantage of the striking overall because of her volume as well as her long range boxing skills. But the leg kicks and the side kicks to the body are going to be the most important weapons for Waterson in this fight. Early leg kicks and front kicks to the body to disrupt the long range punches. And from that, she could potentially gain ground on her, push her back, and once Hill gets closer to the cage, that's when Waterson is going to be able to blitz Hill to the cage, get her in the clinch, and potentially try to get it to the ground from there as a more efficient game plan. So my prediction for this fight, I'm going to go with Michelle Waterson, and I'm going to go by a close decision win. I could see even a split decision here, where a lot of people think that Angela Hill won the fight. My bookie has almost a pick'em fight. I 100% agree with that. They have Angela Hill as a very, very slight favorite. And I can see that as well. I can agree with that. It's such a close fight. And that cannot be said for most of the fights on the card. I mean, most fighters on this card are more than a 2-1 favorite. And some of them kind of questionable, to be honest. And that leaves a lot of opportunity when you go and bet on these fights with mybookie.ag. No one gives you better lines and more ways to win than they do. I mean, when you look at fights like Azaitar Eubanks, who's a huge underdog against Julia Avila. When you look at Ellen Patrick as a huge underdog against Bobby Green as well, where that fight should be a lot more competitive. Or when you look at a fight like Tyson Nam versus Matt Schnell, which is literally a pick'em fight, there's so many ways you can go and strategically bet on these fights given the different kind of methods. But there's another way you can go by it, and that is a parlay. If you want to bet a little and win a lot, you could just line up of fighters that you are confident in winning, and from there you can multiply your earnings. And if you guys are confident in your fight picks, then you have to check out MyBookie's super contest with prize pools of $100,000 and $300,000. It's a great opportunity to win big money for those who are planning to bet on football this season. And if you're going to bet on a sport, whether it be NFL or MMA, you might as well grab the new NFL special that's pretty much just free money, Kansas City plus 54. Just go to mybookie.ag and sign up with a deposit bonus. You get a first free deposit bonus where MyBookie will match up your first deposit all the way up to $1,000. For an example, if you deposit $200, you get $100 in free money to play with. All you have to do is use the promo code WEASEL to activate the offer. That's promo code WEASLE to take advantage of MyBookie's sign-up offer. Sign up with mybookie.ag today, where you bet, you win, and when you win, you get paid. And like I was talking about before, man, there's a lot of very interesting odds on here. When you look at Ed Herman being over a 2-1 underdog against Mike Rodriguez, even though he has major veteran experience, and he barely ever gets put away, very good chin, and a powerful, crafty veteran, that's a bit too much of an underdog in my opinion. Although he might be outmatched on the feet, he might have the grappling advantage. Kind of the same thing with Azaitar Eubanks versus Julia Avila, where Avila is a 3-1 favorite. Andrea Lee is over a 3-1 favorite over Roxanne Modafferi, which again, it's very similar. Andrea Lee might have the striking advantage. She's a younger, more powerful fighter, but Roxanne has the veteran experience, very crafty, and a better grappler. But for the rest of the odds, I do kind of agree. So I hope you guys enjoyed the predictions. If you did, make sure to give a thumbs up. If you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.